Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another episode on Beyond the Touchline. This is the post-game week show for game week 19. Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome to 2025. I hope it's been a great start for you. I hope the year is going to bring you a lot of joy as well. But with that, let's jump in. Drop a like on the video if you guys are enjoying this series, and of course subscribe if you're new around here. Let's jump right into some Premier League action. Right, so here's the Premier League table. Of course, Liverpool, Arsenal, Nottingham all won their games. Chelsea lost theirs. Newcastle City did win, and obviously the next 5 teams: Bournemouth, Fulham, Villa, Brighton, and Tottenham all drew. Brentford, West Ham, Man United, all of them got smashed respectively. Crystal Palace did win their game. Everton didn't win their game. Wolves drew. Ipswich won. Leicester and Southampton both lost. And obviously you can see at the top the gap is 6 points. With Chelsea again losing, their gap to Liverpool obviously extends in the wrong direction, of course, from Chelsea's perspective. Newcastle are flying at the moment. Not too bad from City. To pick up a win and now being a point behind Newcastle and 4 points behind the Champions League spot is not too bad. Again, obviously, I think the title has been out of reach. We're looking at top 4, I think, for City. I think that's a little bit more realistic. After that, look from Bournemouth all the way down to Brighton, obviously still covered by 3 points from 7th all the way to 10th. Tottenham still equally inconsistent as always. Brentford all the way down to Man United. The 3 teams there separated also only by 2 points. To be fair, Tottenham all the way down to United separated by just 2 points. Everton still, I guess, trying to hang on their own. Obviously ahead of them is Crystal Palace. Wolves picked up another draw, unbeaten in their last 3 games. Still, Victor Pereira is still yet to lose a game, put them on 16 points. Ipswich, with their win, puts them up to 15 and are still in the relegation spots. Leicester, 4 losses in a row now, very, very concerning. And Southampton, still, unfortunately, yet to register a point or even a win under Ivan Juric. Now, if you have a look at these statistics, obviously Salah did score again against West Ham, so 17 goals. Haaland finally scored, so he's on 14 goals. Isak also scored, so he's on 12. Palmer didn't score, so he's still on 12. And then Wemmo scored last night against Brentford, against Arsenal, so he's on 11 goals. Chris Wood as well on 11 goals after his goal against Everton. Here for the assist wise, Salah still on 13. No, sorry, Salah did have a couple of assists, I think 2. So he's on 13 now. Saka still on 10. Robinson 7. Diallo, Palmer, Heung-min Son is also up there with 6. So of course, if you're going to have a look at the predictions that I've made, I predicted 4 outcomes, and of the 4, I predicted 1 result exactly correct, that being the game Manchester United against Newcastle. I didn't really expect myself to actually accurately predict that one. Obviously, we'll talk about it in the games itself, but I was actually quite surprised. But otherwise, the results are as follows. Leicester 0, Man City 2, Everton 0, Nottingham Forest 2, Crystal Palace 2, Southampton 1, Tottenham 2, Wolves 2, Fulham 2, Bournemouth 2, West Ham 0, Liverpool 5, Ipswich 2, Chelsea 0, Villa, Brighton 2-2 draw, Man United, Newcastle, as I said, 2-0 win to Newcastle, and Brentford, Arsenal just this morning 3-1 to the Gunners. Right, so first game obviously to talk about will be Leicester and Man City. I did watch the game full. Finally picked up a win. City, to wrap off the year 2024 with a win. I felt it was essential. I felt it was absolutely needed considering, the stature of how it's going. And as I said, this was a relegation 6-pointer, 100%, right? You're going to come into the game. You've got to win in one way or another. Still rather shaky. I felt City. And to be honest, I felt Leicester were threatening at times when they were on the attack. I think they really created good chances. I think Vardy really had some good chances. If he managed to convert even just one of them, I think it would really make the game a lot more interesting. Yes, ultimately City did win, but I just felt like it wasn't very convincing. But maybe ultimately at this point in time, a win is still a win nonetheless. But I still felt like Leicester, they really, really were pushing for it. Even possession overall, obviously Leicester had more possession, and even in the second half, I felt Leicester were a lot more lively. Again, City started the half really, really strongly, and I think that showed, again, a certain amount of caliber that they had. But again, almost as if they sort of ran out of steam a little bit halfway in, really. But of course, Savinho's goal I felt was somewhat preventable from Leicester's perspective. I mean, the snapshot from Phil Foden, and then obviously Savinho's pick up the pieces, really good timing, and obviously I think the defense was just missing. Didn't defend against Savinho in that regard. Yeah, I just felt that goal was a little bit avoidable, but of course the second goal was really really good. Very good whipping from Savinho. To allow Haaland to head the ball into the back of the net, and obviously Haaland finally scored again. I was so happy. He was also really, really happy. And of course, Savinho, new first goal in the Premier League for him, and obviously an assist as well. So man of the match has to go to Savinho, in my opinion, in that regard. But otherwise, I think this game, despite us picking up a win, I felt it wasn't very, very convincing. And I think there are still worry signs looking forward. With 2025 coming around, as I said, the aim is to see what the team can do. As I said, whether or not reinforcements are coming in, I am not too sure about that. Will reinforcements even help us to get a better result? Probably. Yeah, as I said, as of now, it's about the depth. Essentially, we're just relying on pretty much the same 11, even on the bench. We're not looking for players to come on in and make an impact. So I think it's essential, for the team to really group together with these good players that we have right now and to make the best out of it, to be honest. But 2-0 win for City, fantastic. I mean, ultimately, we're still trying to catch up to the top four. And as for Leicester, I felt, yeah, it could have done better in general. I think they really stood a chance in one way or another. I felt they were quite competitive. And now to lose 4 in a row is obviously not good. Ruud will have to really, really think about what his options coming into January and looking forward as well. How's he going to help the team to not get relegated? I just don't think Leicester City are a team that are relegation bound. But with the way that the results are not going their way, and if teams like Ipswich, for example, are getting the results in, if Wolves are able to somehow perform, consistently under Victor Pereira and not under how Gary O'Neill, Leicester are in trouble. As I said, the bottom few is extremely tight, and I think it's as tight as it can get. And when you're in these sort of positions, you really want to make the best out of it. You really want to get yourself out of that position as soon as possible. I mean, you must understand, right, from Everton 16th to Leicester in 19th, they're only separated by 3 points. That is how tight the relegation battle is. And, I think, as I said, it's important for Leicester to really pick up the results as and when they can. For Everton, nil, Nottingham Forest 2. I think in general for this one, again, Nottingham Forest showing the sort of quality that they can do. Despite Everton having most of the ball throughout the entirety of the game, Nottingham Forest proved to be deadly, proved that they can still do something. I think, again, the second goal came via mistake from the Everton backline. Morgan Gibbs-White, really, really good goal. I think it was a good touch. Sets himself up, puts the ball in the back of the net. Pickford not really having a chance. And Pickford did make a couple of good saves again. I mean, yes, they didn't really have the possession, Nottingham, but when they had the ball, they were threatening, they were really fighting for it. And I think the shots on target would have said, I would have backed me up there. Pickford again saving Everton many, many times again in this game. And, the Nottingham Forest could have scored 3, 4, had Pickford just been as good as he's always been. But the goal from Chris Wood, also beautiful. A beautiful walk cross in, takes a touch, settles himself, lobs it over Pickford. There's nothing much to say, really. Everton are still struggling in general. Nottingham Forest really proving the quality despite, not having ball most of the time. But they were able to show their creativity and, managed to make things work for them. I'm just super ecstatic for Nottingham again to end the Premier League season. To end the year, to end 2024 in second place. Obviously now they're third with Arsenal overtaking them, but you've got to understand that it's been an exceptional first half of the season for Nottingham Forest thus far. If in any way they're able to replicate this again in the second half of the season, if let's say they were able to get the same number of points for the next 19 games, that's going to be 74 points at the end of the season. It's a fantastic result. It's obviously going to get them top 4. But, the way they've been performing this season, 5 wins in a row now in the Premier League, it's something that I don't think they would have expected. Ultimately, last season, they were struggling with relegation. You must understand that. And they, at this point of time, already have more points than they had the entirety of last season. It's crazy from what Nottingham Forest have managed to deliver this season. And Everton still struggling again. Despite having a little bit of reinforcements this year, they still are not up there. It's just not working out for Everton. I mean, even if you were to remove Dyche, and I feel like Dyche isn't doing the worst job in the world, but even then, even you take Dyche out of the job and you get someone else in, would things change at Everton? I really don't know. I think players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin still not scoring goals, still not doing what he's supposed to be doing as a striker, and he's essentially sort of like their only striking option alongside Beto. And even then, Beto is not really an up-front striker; he's more like a super sub, if anything. But the thing is, look, for example, look at Villa, the way Jean Duram is doing his super sub role, it's brilliant. So, on that regard, I think it's challenging for Everton to really get consistent results as of now. They really do need a new striker, 100%. What striker? I don't know. I mean, it's to the scouts to decide what sort of striker would suit their playing style a lot better. But as of now, Calvert-Lewin is obviously missing, which is to me is clearly not something that it is good. That is something that Everton want, but that's clearly the problem they're facing. They're not scoring goals. They're only conceding as few as they've been thanks to Jordan Pickford. Once Pickford leaves, as I said, they're going to be in more trouble. They're going to get relegated if Pickford doesn't stay at the club anymore. There are a lot of things that's going on in this club which I think are shambles. They've got to sort themselves out. Obviously, again, it's been like the third, fourth season in a row now this is happening. But point being is that Nottingham Forest, fantastic. Everton, terrible. That's it. Right, Palace Southampton, 2-1 win. Now, obviously, I predicted a little bit of an upset. As I said, the way that I saw Southampton play against West Ham, I felt there was something that even Juric could actually start to work with this team and to see what they can do. I think this game, I didn't watch it, I watched the highlights. I mean, to score first is great from Southampton. I think that gives them a huge confidence boost and for them to sort of understand that, it's possible what they can do. They just need to put in the work a lot better and team needs to gel a lot better and they will be able to create chances. But after they've scored that goal, Crystal Palace really came knocking on the door constantly. And I think the stats will show. I don't think it's a bad result from Southampton's perspective. I just felt like, they probably could have done better in some way, shape, or another. But I think Palace was maybe just too good. But the thing is that, these are the teams, again, as I said, Palace are such one of those teams where you really want to get a result against. Otherwise, you don't really have anyone else to get a result against. And by Southampton not winning that game or even getting points out of that game, again, it shows the quality disparity that Southampton has against the rest of the field. And even if Ivan Juric tries to do something new, which I think is quite positive as of now, it looks like obviously it's not working. Obviously, I think time is needed. But when you're in relegation threatened position like that and to still have single-digit points and the team above you has more than double your points tally right now, you are more worried than anything, to be honest. And I think Southampton are already conceding the fact that they're going to get relegated. Probably. I don't really know. I mean, we have to observe again. Will they bring reinforcements in January? I don't even know if they have the amount to do that. But from Palace's perspective, it's a crucial win for them. It's a necessary win for them. They did what they had to do to get the win over the line. And obviously now they are running away. I wouldn't say running away, but trying to extend the gap away from the relegation zone, which is good for them. Very worrying at the start, but I think now we sort of see a little bit of a rhythm from Palace here, which I think is positive. Glasner would be very pleased to see what he's seeing, getting wins when it's needed, draws against clubs that maybe, are half decent. It's not too bad. I think this result, I guess, it just shows again, the quality difference between both sides. And clearly it's going Crystal Palace's way for this one. Right, Tottenham 2, Wolves 2. Again, how do I make out of this game? I mean, as I said, I predicted the outcome correctly. I put it as a stalemate, 0-0 draw, but it's very difficult again for me to sort of predict this sort of games when, as I said, when Wolves are on the run on the back of pretty good form and Tottenham are on just major inconsistent form. To me, this was a result that suggested that, again, 100%. Obviously, Wolves went ahead really early on. And then obviously Tottenham got back and then, went into the first half with the 2-1 lead and could only hold it till the 87th minute. I think in some ways, probably Tottenham should have gotten that win. Again, based on quality's sake and how I think, the way Tottenham should be playing, they should be better than this. They shouldn't be, struggling against, again, a relegation threatened Wolves per se. But Wolves have managed to snatch a draw here, which I think is very, very good result for them. As I said, any points that can get them away from the relegation zone at this point in time is a huge bonus. So, yeah, I don't think there's much to say. I think I predicted it exactly the way it would go. Tottenham just not being able to pick up a win. Wolves are somehow able to fight their way. And again, Tottenham, again, one win in their last 4 games. Obviously not good enough. I think just a lot of struggles for Tottenham. And as for Wolves, they're going to have to try to find their way up. From here, they've got to try to see what they can do when it comes to try, to be up there. And I think just Wolves, again, scored a lot of goals this season. They scored 31 goals, but they conceded 42. And I think that sort of made the difference, how they've just not been able to get results going their way. But to score 31 goals for a relegation threatened side is an impeccable number. But I mean, Tottenham has scored 41. I mean, they've smashed some teams by a crazy amount as well. But again, still not being able to convert games when they need to convert. So again, both sides have different stories. Both sides have different objectives. I think only one side of the table has managed to achieve the objective out of this game, and that will be Wolves. Right, Fulham Bournemouth. I think this was a really entertaining game. I watched the second half of it, some of the second half, and towards the end, essentially. I felt it was a really entertaining game. I think both sides were back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Some chances here and there that both teams have missed, and those sort of goals will probably help them in some way or another. It was fun. It was intense. It was exactly how I envisioned it to go. I mean, at the end of the day, I still predicted Bournemouth to win. I just felt like they had an upper hand. But in general, I think a draw is a fair result, in my opinion, considering how the game went and considering how, I think it's just really entertaining to watch. I think the fans should be really, really happy as well to see the way that the game has obviously panned out. I think Fulham kind of sounds a little bit unlucky and a bit undeserving. I think maybe certain points in time, maybe Fulham deserved to win. I mean, they went up 2-0. I mean, it's Bournemouth hunting down Fulham to bring the game back on level terms. But again, very entertaining game in general. I think it shows the quality of both sides and how close they are in general in terms of quality, and it shows again a stellar season that both of them had. But I think if you were to look at results, for the past few games, Fulham now 4 draws in the last 5. Obviously, the draws came against really good sides: Arsenal, Everton, Chelsea. Everton, I don't think Everton is there. But still, to pick draws now 4 and 5 maybe isn't a result that Marco Silva is hoping. I think he wants to start to convert those draws to wins, and Bournemouth as well drew 3 of their last 5 games as well. So these two teams, they're starting to draw games now instead of winning, which maybe in their eyes, they want to be a lot better than that. But again, still not relatively, I think it's still been a really, really good season. I think shadowed by Nottingham, who have been even better than this. But I think 2-2 draw from this result, at least in my opinion, is a fantastic result for both teams, and I think they should be happy about the result they've gotten. And I think that gives them some work to do as well when they want to try win games against such teams around their sort of quality. But yeah, ultimately very entertaining game. 89th minute equaliser. It's part of football. It's fun. A really not a bad result for both of them. But I just hope they're able to bring in this sort of good form and good quality into next year, and hopefully are able to get more wins than just the draws they've been getting over the past couple of games. Right, this one. I don't really want to talk about it, to be honest. I think I've never been more disappointed ever. House still at the club. Again, I always question this. I mean, some of the results previously have gone West Ham's way, and that's how Lopetegui is still able to stay at the job, and maybe there's still a little bit of hope that, they're able to do something. This game was diabolical. I don't understand what the players were doing. I think maybe again the results were a little bit too skewed. I think Kudus hit the post like 3 times in the game, which really could have made it 5-3, and it would have emulated like an Arsenal result, right, when they lost 5-2. But to concede 5 goals, it's just not it, in my opinion. They were horrible in that game. They showed no intent of trying to win games. No shot on target in that game. Liverpool just absolutely dominated the game. This is god awful. I don't even want to say, how upsetting this game was. I mean, to expect a loss against Liverpool, and I think 3-0 would have been understandable. 5 is a little bit too much now. And in considering how they really could have scored 6, 7, 8, a lot of the players at Liverpool were missing chances big time. Salah missing a couple of chances. Nunez also not scoring. What could have happened? They really could have scored 6, 7, 8 in that game, to be honest. And at this point in time, you might as well get on a slot on the team. He's probably going to score a goal as well. What are West Ham doing? This is terrible. I mean, as a Hammers fan, we just need to get him out the door right now. This is unacceptable. I mean, we're getting up and down. It's too up and down for me. As I said, it's very volatile. West Ham's performance at the moment are extremely, extremely volatile. And to concede goals in that manner is really, really not it. And of course, for Liverpool, 5-star performance, maybe 4.5, really, considering the fact that they've missed so many chances as well. And honestly, they could have scored a lot more than what they've scored in this one, which just shows to me how bad of a game West Ham had, how good of a game Liverpool had. I think the more I talk about it, the more upset I'll feel. But West Ham's next game is City, and I don't think that the same result's going to happen. But as a City fan and a West Ham fan, as I said, I'll always prioritise City over West Ham. Maybe this is the nail in the coffin. If they do lose against City, I just really need Lopetegui to go. Unfortunately, what he's done at the club is just not working out. Just bring Moyes back, please. I think maybe that might be the answer. Moyes done an exceptional job. Maybe we'll cover that again in the pre-game week show for Game Week 20. But as of now, West Ham, I was very disappointed. I was absolutely gutted to see 5-0. It's a thrashing result, and that's not the way you should end the year, unfortunately. Right, the biggest shock of the weekend, of course, Ipswich Town 2, Chelsea 0. Chelsea had many, many chances to score. Again, I don't understand how they've not managed to score. I mean, Joao Felix, that goal was great. Just that, was obviously in offside position. Okay, but first of all, I think we should talk about Ipswich. Wonderful. A vintage display, a vintage performance from them. But I've got to say, that penalty shouldn't have been a penalty. Clearly, Delap dived, VAR intervened, and still gave a penalty for that. The angle was pretty clear that shouldn't be the penalty, and somehow they got a pen. But conversion, fantastic. Second goal was a mistake from Chelsea, and obviously Ipswich Town took it to the best of their ability. Hutchinson scored the goal. Brilliant. Fantastic draw from Ipswich side of the house. They've done what they did, right? And I think they were very, very competitive. Now, moving on over to Chelsea, that's not good enough. They're now winless in the last 3 Premier League games now. Only scored 1 goal in that 3 games. They've only managed to pick up a point. Again, when I was talking about the pressure that's starting to mount at Chelsea, when they sort of maybe started to feel that they can do something with regards to try to fight for the Premier League title, I'm starting to see that in Chelsea, and I'm very concerned now, because now they're starting to lose games or not get the results going their way and not being able to pick up wins. There is a lot more of a concern that's coming in from Chelsea's perspective right now, and they need to change that, obviously, because this is evidently not something that they need to have. And by going through such results right now, they're in trouble. Things need to change 100% ASAP. I'm not saying like they're fighting for the title, but I think they just have the ability to. They have the potential to fight for the title. I'm not saying win the title. They have the ability to fight for it. But if they're going to constantly perform like this right now, like how they've been doing, they're definitely not going to make it. I mean, you need to understand, they've had 76% of the ball the entire game. They've had 20 shots, and only 25% of them were on target. 5 of them were on target, and they've not had a single goal. And the chances they've had, they were really, really good. Obviously, goalkeeper of Ipswich made a couple of good saves, right? But at the end of the day, to me, that doesn't really matter. You still got to put the ball in the back of the net. Creating chances is one thing, but again, it's Chelsea, right? The expectation of Chelsea and how they're performing at the start of the season is really, really good. How is it that they are somehow just, again, this dip in form all of a sudden, turn on its head, winless in the last 3 games? And honestly, had they won those 3 games, they would be in a really good position again to fight with Liverpool. And exactly 3 games ago, they were up there with Liverpool. And 3 games later is all it takes for them to slip away. And again, you must understand that how good Liverpool have been this season. We don't know when's the next time Liverpool are going to drop points. I also don't know either. But, that's how good and how consistent Liverpool have been this season. But again, from Chelsea's perspective, awful. And from Ipswich's perspective, fantastic. It's a win again. Obviously, they're picking up wins, but it's just, I think it's really upsetting for them. I guess the finals are still being a relegation zone, but they just need to continue doing this, essentially. Picking up these really, really bizarre wins, for example, and still trying to get points here and there. And I think they really stand a chance to stay up. I think probability now is between them, probably, and Everton, who is going to survive. Maybe against Southampton and Leicester are definitely in trouble here, but Ipswich, they could honestly stay in the Premier League at the expense of Everton. Maybe Man United might get relegated. We should talk about them later. But, great result from Ipswich. Terrible result from Chelsea. Things definitely need to change at Chelsea. But again, maybe this is just a bit of a wobble. I mean, we see that for City and you know what happened after that. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But Ipswich Town, I think, have all the reasons to celebrate. It's been a very, very good year for them in general. Yes, still in relegation spots, but it's been a reasonably good season for Ipswich. I think they're still fighting, which I love to see, and hopefully, they're able to be a lot better in the second half of the year and stay in the Premier League. I think what they've shown this season, character, and I think that's what you need in the Premier League. Tenacity, that's what they've shown. And I hope they're able to bring that into the second half of the season, get results, stay in the Prem. Right, Villa 2, Brighton 2. Now this one, I don't know how to react to this one again. Obviously Brighton, again, another draw, another winless Premier League game for them. Not exactly what they want. Actually, to be honest, when Brighton scored their second goal, it was a commentator's curse. The commentator was just saying that a victory was far from secure for Villa, and 10 seconds later, a good, decent ball in Lamptey strikes it down low, hard into the goal. Martinez just didn't have a chance. I felt Villa had a really good game in general, but again, just lacking that finishing product, lacking the end product rather to wrap up the game. And I mean, obviously Brighton went 1-0 up, which was a really, really good goal. And obviously the penalty from Watkins, really well taken. Rogers, the second goal, really, really well done as well. The corner, Ollie Watkins has lofted it over. Brighton trying to play a bit of a high line, trying to get on the attack, trying to play offside trap. Didn't go in their favour, but a really, really good finish from Morgan Rogers. The confidence to take that into his stride, beautiful. And obviously I think the Lamptey's goal was really, really good as well. Some of these goals, I think, this week have shown a pretty good level of quality. But ultimately, I think a draw maybe is a fair result considering how the game went. I think both teams were trying to find a way to win, not creating clear-cut enough chances ultimately, which I guess obviously cost both of them. I think both, again, are expected to do a lot better, but considering how it's been, it's just like Fulham and Bournemouth, right? I think it was quite an entertaining game. And I think maybe the draw is just a right result for both of them to sort of reflect the performances they're having right now. But again, as I'd like to reiterate, and I would like to say is again, this is not what we expect from both Villa and Brighton. We expect a lot better from both of them, and especially Villa. I think, when there is potential for them to do better, and considering how much better they were doing last season, this season is clearly a dip that they're having. And again, Unai Emery will have to really think about it. They're not exactly fighting for Europe this season, which is not very, very good. I mean, they're still in the Champions League, and I think they're still doing really, really well in the Champions League. But, to be in the Champions League again next year, you've got to either win the entire thing, which I don't think Villa are going to do. That would be the shock of the season for sure. Or, via league finish, which as of now doesn't really look like it's happening. So they need to find ways to make that happen. And as for Brighton, again, to just not have another win. Again, it's been a while since they've had a win as well, to be honest. Not good enough. Picking up too many draws. Not really losing too much. I think it's just a lot of drop points in general, which obviously are costing them the points to climb up the Premier League table. They also need to have a change to 2025 to ensure that they do better for the rest of the season. These two are quite close at the moment. So we'll see what happens with the both of them. But as I said, the expectations on both of them are definitely quite high, especially for the rest of the rest of the season, at least into 2025. Right, Man United 0, Newcastle 2. No, I've got nothing to say. This one perfect again from Newcastle. 4 minutes in, if we scored a goal, they continue their form essentially. Yes, crossed with a deflection off Mazraoui, but Isak to really get close ahead of, I think it was Lissandro. No, it might have been ahead of Maguire, and to just get the ball down low and get a header in. Isak is really on fire. Joe Linton's goal as well. I mean, I think he was fighting against Martinez. I think, yeah, still also a header, question mark. I can't exactly remember, but still a really, really good goal. But what I'm trying to say is that Man United have been absolutely diabolical again in the last few games. I think lost 3 consecutive home games now. Just, I don't know how many, what sort of records they're breaking. Again, I'm just annoyed that the only win they've had is against City. Just can't believe that happened. But aside from that, they've lost pretty much every other game in December in the Premier League. And, people online are talking about relegation form, which theoretically is their worst season to date. But, I mean, realistically, are they really, really going to get relegated? Maybe. But honestly, we're still not writing that. We're still not considering the realms of that, happening, because still, yes, Manchester United are a really, really bad team. They have been not a very good team, but I just don't think it's going to happen. It fathoms me to think that they're going to get relegated, and I think it has to be expensive. The 4 teams below them, so now being Palace, Everton, Wolves, and Ipswich, are going to have more points than them at the end of the season. Is that really, really going to happen? I'm not too sure. I just don't think. But I mean, we could be proven wrong. Anything can happen. Amrin is definitely not doing a good job here. I think, as I said, if I can tell he's trying to bring in what he did at Sporting into the club, and we just know that's not going to happen. You've got a different set of plays, different way of playing styles. You've just got to figure it out. Something new, fresh off the book. This is obviously not it for them. And I think from United's perspective, yeah, they're in trouble, of course. From Newcastle, fantastic again to keep another clean sheet, score goals again. And I was looking at their goal difference, right? And they scored 32 goals, and they scored 13 goals in the last 4 games. Now, that means 4 games ago, they're having a negative goal difference, and how things have turned around for them with now a goal difference of plus 11. It's remarkable form. I mean, 4 games, like these sort of wins are very, very crucial for them, and I think you're going to reflect on, look at these sort of runs and realize that this is how important it's been. They're clearly fighting for a European spot again this year, which is very, very positive. They had a really wobbly start at the start of the year, but now they're starting to have a little bit of better form now, and I hope it continues for Newcastle. I think there is that level of potential that we are seeing out of them, and it's good. I think that's clearly what we want to see as well from teams like Newcastle, Bournemouth, Fulham, and Nottingham. As I said, these 4 dark horses here right now. I just hope they continue to fight. But again, a great result from Newcastle's perspective. Super happy for them to pick up a win. But Newcastle, they've really got to dig deep. And United, they've really got to dig deep now. It's only going to go downhill from here if they do not make changes into next year. I think even if they bring in reinforcements, it's not going to help them. As I said, the reinforcements, they need to change the entire team, which obviously is not going to be enough. What Amri needs to do now is really focus on his strengths as a manager and look at where he can really get the best out of this team. They're going to concede a lot more goals for sure moving forward. They're definitely not going to have results going their way, but they just need to ensure that they stay as competitive as they can in some games, because they know once they're competitive, they stand a chance. I'm not saying they will get the result, but at least minimally, they will stand a chance to win. And I think that's the bare minimum that Amri needs to expect now from the team moving forward, and that's the minimum that he needs to eke out of this team moving forward. Otherwise, what's going to happen in the second half of the season is going to be unpredictable, and what I'm seeing right now, they're definitely in trouble, Manchester United. Right, obviously Manchester United and Newcastle, that was the last game of the Premier League for 2024, and the first game for 2025 is Brentford against Arsenal. Now, Brentford, obviously, to get 1-0 up early doors, great from them. I think that sort of mounted the pressure a little bit on Arsenal, but again, Arsenal have been so free-flowy with scoring 3 goals now in this game too, and again, scored many goals already this season from Arsenal, and it's good from them, getting very free-flowy, very good attacking, which is good. What do I make out of this game? I think, yes, the quality has shown itself again. But the 2 goals, 50th and 53rd minute, I think was quite tight. But their goal from Mbeumo was really exquisite to beat Raya at the near post. Really good goal. But they were just weren't able to hold on at the lead for really long. Straightforward, really, I think, for Arsenal as well this game. They've shown the quality that they have been. I predicted a little bit of a fluke result, considering I think just had a bit of a too long a break, if you ask me, prior to this game. And sometimes, Arsenal, they tend to bottle, and I think we've seen enough bottling from Arsenal in the past 2 seasons where they really sort of stood a chance to do as well as they could have been. But yeah, I think this one, obviously, back to shape for them for Arsenal. They've done extremely well in general to get the result over the line this one. Brentford, I think, expected defeat. But again, Brentford are having a up and down season, I feel. And I think maybe, we will expect better from them as well. I think too many losses have sort of contributed to what doesn't really look like a really good season. I think if those losses were converting to draws, I think it would have been a better outlook of the season so far. It's not a bad season for Brentford. I just think they've not, compared to performances from, the four dark horses, I think, Brentford are still okay, but compared to the four dark horses, obviously they look, they're not been very good this season, but still pretty good in my opinion. And as for Arsenal, yes, I think as of now, they and Nottingham, surprisingly you say Nottingham, but Arsenal really just got to continue to match Liverpool's results, if not better. Liverpool's results, if they really want to stand a chance to win the league this season. It's one way, really. As I say, City not really going to fight for the title anymore, are they? It's just not going to happen, in my opinion, unless Liverpool have the worst downfall in history of the Premier League. It's just not going to happen, in my opinion, for City to even challenge for the title. But Arsenal are the next best bet here to really close that gap to Liverpool. And hopefully that can happen. As I just want a little bit of competition moving forward. I think if Liverpool are just going to run away with it, it's really going to look silly on the rest of the field. And looking into next year, how is that going to change? The outlook of the Premier League too. But still a very good result from Arsenal. They needed the win. They've gotten the win. Brentford, I think, just got to move on really and continue to fight for games where they know they're going to be competitive at. Right, that'll be it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, it's the January transfer window now. Hopefully transfers are going to be made, and that will change the story for the rest of the season as well. We're officially at the halfway mark of the season, and I think there's a lot more stories as well to look forward to for the rest of the season. It's going to be crazy, it's going to be hectic for sure. But yes, drop a like on the video if you guys have enjoyed this so far. And of course, subscribe if you're new around here. Get discussing in the comments down below. I'll be very much looking forward to that too. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, goodbye.